Qso-8EPS, Echo Papa Sierra.
Roger, Roger, Kilo 8 Echo Papa Sierra, what's the name there?
Roger, Roger, Kilo 8 Echo Papa Sierra, what's the name there? The name here is Eric. I'm located around Columbus, Ohio, and we've talked before in the last couple of months. I got a new microphone on here, and I wanted to check your recommended setup with the new microphone and see how that does.
Roger, Roger, Eric. Well, the first thing is, all microphones are not created equal. So the first thing that you want to do is, go back and check your ALC level to be sure that you're up to snuff. And that is with mic gain in hand, you say the word audio and adjust your mic gain until your ALC is running 2/3. Roger?
Mic gain until your ALC is running 2/3. Roger? Jim, we have got, I think, the right setup. We'll try it now. Audio. Yes, we're at 2/3.
Yes, sir. So then we drop back. You're sure you're in that wide transmit bandwidth 100 to 2900, Roger?
Wide transmit bandwidth 100 to 2900, Roger? Roger, Roger, Jim. I've got it set the same way as when you originally helped me get this set up, 100 to 29.
Okay, let's go to EQ and maybe tap in a couple of more clicks of treble EQ and see what that does, Roger. To your EQ page.
Treble EQ and see what that does, Roger. To your EQ page. All right, I am on the EQ page, and you need a little bit more treble, I will dial some of that in. But right now we are currently at 2.4 and 2.7 and 3.0 kilohertz of audio. That's running about 15 dB above the mid-range that is flatlined right now.
Okay, so on your 2700 plus 3 clicks additional boost, on the 2.7 kilohertz range, plus 3 clicks boost on that 2.7, and that's a 2.7 at 4 width, Roger?
2.7, and that's a 2.7 at 4 width, Roger? That's correct. It is full width, and I'm making the adjustments now to get what you want, so just bear with me as I make the changes. We're dialing in 3 clicks, 3 dB on the 24, 27, and 3 kilohertz.
Okay, so now if you just have 27, if you do have 27, just do it at 2.7. Just do the 2.7 plus 3 clicks or so, Roger?
2.7. Just do the 2.7 plus 3 clicks or so, Roger? Roger, I will make that change now. We're dropping it on either side of 2.7, so now we've got a 3 dB rise on 2.7.
Okay, and tell me about the best thing you like about your radio.
Okay, and tell me about the best thing you like about your radio. Well, the fact that it's got an 18-band EQ makes it really nice to try to dial in the change from a Shure SM58 studio-type mic to a Heil PR40, and I noticed a big difference in the sensitivity and also in the sound of the audio. And also in the sound of the audio.
Roger, Roger. Well, looking at it on a frequency counter, meter, you've got response all the way down to about 25 cycles. So you've got a great bottom end, and now you have a little additional up end treble EQ to match that bottom end a little bit more. Roger, Roger.
EQ to match that bottom end a little bit more. Roger, Roger. Roger, Jim, I appreciate it. I knew that I was getting some different sound quality out of this PR40, but I wanted to start out with our previous setup for the SM58 Shure and then have you dial that in for me. One question for you: you always refer to having a starting point of like a 10 dB level, and then when we get done, you end up with about a 3 dB dynamic range. How do you measure that? On what device are you using?
I'm using a spectrum analyzer, and I'm not sure exactly what you mean by 10 dB. I usually try to keep the mid-range EQ flat to start with. Any microphone will produce 1 kC fairly well. The problems are at the top and the bottom. So I want that mid-range to be flat, so much so that like in the ICOM 7300 and the ICOM 7610, they don't even bother putting a mid-range control in there. They want that frequency to be flat. So once and with you in your EQ, everything from 1500 from 400 to 1500 should be flat, and then we go up, and 2.7 is the ideal push frequency. But anyway, long story short, I think the mid-range should be flat, and then we start with the top end and go for smoke on the top end, and once we get that, then we go back and see what we need to do on the bass frequency. Roger?
Then we go back and see what we need to do on the bass frequency. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, I don't want to mislead you. I am flat from 300 on up to about 2100, and then it peaks up to the 2700 that we talked about. You often talk about somebody having a 10 dB dynamic range, and then when you're done with all of the adjustments, you talk about it being 3 dB dynamic range, and I assume that was due to some of the compression to fatten it and help with the modulation percentage.
Yes, sir. Well, what I'm saying there is usually somebody that's not running any processing will have a 10 dB dynamic range. That's commonly accepted that if you were talking on a PA system and I had a VU meter tied to the output of that PA system and I was looking at that meter, it'd be bouncing everywhere. So that would be a 10 dB dynamic range. But when it comes to transmitting, that's not very good. We want a fatter signal to transmit with. So we get that compressor up there to a 3 out of 10 level, or 30 out of 100, which gives us a little bit of compression there, and then we push that dynamic range reduction just a little bit more in the ALC to where we're running that at 2/3, so that gives us another 2 or 3 dB of really quick attack compression or limiting, quick attack compression limiting out of the ALC circuits. And then by the time we finish with that, we're at a 3 dB dynamic range instead of a 10 dB dynamic range, and there lies the modulation level of 80 to 85% with a 3 dB dynamic range versus 30% of modulation with a 10 dB dynamic range. Roger?
Modulation with a 10 dB dynamic range. Roger?
Roger. I thought that's what we were accomplishing, and I just wanted to confirm. I didn't know what device you were using when you analyzed it. So that's where I am. I've got the setup that you recommended before with the compressor and the processor and the ALC at 2/3. So I just wanted to see what I needed to do with that EQ to bring this PR40 into line. And if you think I've got enough oomph up there for articulation, then I'm a happy man.
Yes, it really sounds good. And I'm looking at a spectrum analyzer, plus I'm looking at a VU meter, both tied to the output of the radio. And I can tell by the way that the VU meter hangs just what your 0 dB or 3 dB dynamic range, what the dynamic range is of the modulated signal. If you were not running anything for processing, my VU meter would be bouncing everywhere on the output of the radio, but when we start getting the fatter signal, my meter starts to just move, hang quite a bit, and I can tell what your dynamic range is that way, Roger. I mean, if you were say you were really pushing it all out, you would be at zero level. You would have no dynamic range, and my meter would not move. It would come up to zero level and just hang there. But as we want to keep some life in your signal, we want to get some compression and limiting, but we also want to keep about 3 dB of life there, which really helps in the intelligibility. Because when you get all flat out, you lose that intelligibility because of the lack of dynamic range, Roger.
Because of the lack of dynamic range, Roger.
Roger. Well, I appreciate the explanation. I'm an electrical engineer from Indiana, southeast Indiana, and kind of started out the same way you did, a little pirate station, and thinking I'm an AM broadcaster, and then went into radio from there for a hobby. So thanks for the lessons, and thanks for letting me attend Jim's radio story school, and I will get off of here and let the next folks get some help. KC9VKV, this is very grateful. K8EPS 73.
Roger, Eric, before you go, sir, what's your location?
Roger, Eric, before you go, sir, what's your location?
I am located just on the southeast side of Columbus, Ohio.
Roger that. And what radio are you running today?
Roger that. And what radio are you running today?
I am running my beloved Kenwood TS890.
Roger, that sounds just beautiful. I think you'll like your recording. I'll have it uploaded to YouTube by noon tomorrow, Roger.
I'll have it uploaded to YouTube by noon tomorrow, Roger.
Roger, Jim, I really appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir. 73, Eric. You have a great afternoon, beautiful weekend. This is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.